Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Joshana here, and we're going to talk about some freaking books. As the title implies, this is just my December wrap-up. I actually read quite a few books this month, like more than I would normally because of a readathon. I ended up reading 18 books this month, which for me personally is pretty good, like I said. So I'm going to go in order of lowest to highest, which I think is what I did last month as well. I do have my normal 1 to 5 Pusheenacorn rating, but if you didn't watch last month, I have started also doing a more detailed rating on a 1 to 10 scale, which I got inspired from Book Roast. She does this caw pile, and mine is just caw piled, because I like dialogue is like really important to me too. It's like what I find myself judging books on a lot of the time, so I added that. But yeah, it gives you a 1 to 10 rating, like very detailed, like to a decimal point, and then you translate that based on this rating scale into your 1 to 5 star, or in my case, Pusheenacorn rating. So here we go. Lowest rated book of the month. These first 4 were all 2 Pusheenacorns, and pretty much every book I read was for a readathon this month. So this first one was for the Holiday Adventure-a-thon. On the 1 to 10 scale, it got a 3.62. Not great. It was the Garfield Christmas Library e-comic that I got on Hoopla, and I just got it to like have a holiday themed quick read, to be able to finish books for the Adventure-a-thon, which it served its purpose, but it was not great. It was not the childhood Garfield that I knew in my younger years. Same thing goes for this next one, Archie Christmas Classics. I loved Archie comics when I was a kid. I remember getting them at the grocery store all the time. Like, I was obsessed. But this also got 2 Pusheenacorns, like I said, library e-comic from Hoopla for the Adventure-a-thon, 3.75 on my 1 to 10 scale. Then, for the 12 Days of Cosmas, I read Pride and Prejudice and Mistletoe from the library. And yeah, this sucker, I was not a fan. 2 Pusheenacorns here. From a library sale, I purchased kind of as a cover buy because it was just real pretty. And I used this for the Adventure-a-thon, was Saturday Night Widows, which I have here. Super pretty cover. And the premise of this, I didn't say the premise of Pride and Prejudice and Mistletoe. It's a Pride and Prejudice retelling, but for Christmas and with a gender bend. The main character is a female, Mr. Darcy, but her name is just Darcy. And it was just, I read it, but because it was quick and easy read, but I did not care for it. The characters were the worst. They were adults acting like preteens. But Saturday Night Widows, it's a memoir of these 6 women, and they're all widows, and they're some of them are very young widows, like in their 30s, but they're all pretty young widows. I think the oldest one was like in their 50s. So it was kind of like, it sounded really interesting, like their journey through widowhood and like figuring all of this out. But I just didn't care. Like, for being a memoir about this subject, I expected it to be pretty like touching, and it wasn't. It was kind of just the same thing over and over again, and like nothing profound happened. So yeah, I'll be unhauling this. And then we bump up to a 3 Pusheenacorn read, My True Love Gave to Me. This one I clearly own, and I read this. No, come back. I read this both for the 12 Days of Cosmas and the Very Merry Readathon. They overlapped for a couple days, so I did that. I have stopped telling the 1 to 10 scale, but we're in the 5 range now. I thought it was like meh. It was fine. It's all short stories, and some of the short stories were like cute, and I liked them, but there was only like 1 or like maybe 3 that like really stood out to me. I rated this very much like middle of the road because it's hard. I mean, it's a short story collection. Some of them are good, and some of them were like, a couple I was like, ugh, no. I'm probably never gonna read this again, so I will be unhauling this as well. Another library e-comic that I used for the Holiday Adventure-a-thon to get some more points for finishing. And this one was kind of cute. It was clearly like a young reader one, but it was North Stars, and I gave this also 3 Pusheenacorns. It was just like a cutesy little whatever comic book for kids about a girl that lived in the North Pole. Like Santa was her like adopted dad, and there's a little adventure that happens and whatever. This next one was a reread for me, and it's like a multiple reread. Like I think this is the third time that I've read this one. Let It Snow. This is my copy, but I'm honestly probably going to get rid of it because I rated it like 3. Well, I don't know. I might not get rid of it. I rated it 3 Pushinicorns. I feel like it might be more like a 3.5 really though, because the first story, it's 3 holiday stories and they're all intertwined. Like they're all happening in the same area, like in the same like group of people that are kind of interconnected somehow, and you see characters from the first story in the third story, and they're not like heavily in there, but they just pop in. So that's fun and everything. And the first story I really liked. The second story was pretty good too, but the third one, the main character is just the absolute worst. She's the epitome of an annoying, self-absorbed, whiny teenage girl. Like, it just, like, so dumb. Like, people are literally telling her, hey, you're being self-absorbed, stop it. 2 seconds later, she's like, oh my God, let me tell you about my problems. And you're like, girl, like, do you really not see? Like, and people have to be like, you're doing it right now. And she's like, oh my God, I am? What? And she just, oh God. So I don't know. I might keep it. I don't know. If I ever reread it, I might just like reread the first 2 and not the third one. So the next one is actually a graphic novel series. I got all 7 that were available at the library. I don't know if that's all that's out, but I only ended up reading the first 5. It was fun. It was whatever, but like I just didn't care that much. But the first 2 of the American Vampire series, the first 2 I actually gave 4 Pushinicorns. It's just super fun. It's gory. Like, these are not glittering vampires, and like that's kind of the point. It's super fun. It's very graphic, not for children. Not for anybody who does not like blood or like scary vampire. Like, they're scary monster vampires. These are not like your friendly, like True Blood type vampires, or definitely not your Twilight vampires or anything like that. They're like horrifying, turned into freakish monster vampires. But kind of by the 5th one, I was kind of like, all right, I get it. Like, whatever. I kind of lost interest. The 3rd, 4th, and 5th one, I gave 3 Pushinicorns. You can see I was kind of losing my interest. And then my final 3 Pushinicorn read was Dash and Lily's Book of Dares. I really liked it. I read this for the 12 Days of Cosmas, and part of it also counted for the Adventure-a-thon, actually. Some of the pages counted for that. I liked a lot about it, but it ended up came on my 1 to 10 scale, it came to 6.875. So like just under hitting the range where it would have been a 4 Pushinicorn read. So it's like a 3.75, really. It was fun. It was cute. It's one of those books where there's certain like YA contemporaries where it's like teenagers that are speaking like these very witty, clever, well-versed, knowledgeable, like worldly adults, right? Like they're snarky and witty and clever all the time. And it's like for certain books and certain characters, it annoys the hell out of me. But then sometimes I don't care. And I'm like, oh, it's fun. It's cute. Like, it's entertaining. It's just for fun. It's not bothering me, right? And this was a book where I thought it was fun. It didn't bother me. This is not how teenagers talk typically, like 0%. So then for the Adventure-a-thon, I read Deal of a Lifetime. I gave this one 4 Pushinicorns. It's obviously very short. It's a novella, and I mean, it even has like pictures in it, in some places. So it's a very, very quick read. I thought it was really interesting. It was a cool concept. It's a man. I don't want to say too much about it, but there's a man who, oh God, I really don't want to say anything about it. Then also for the Adventure-a-thon, I read Daughter of Smoke and Bone. This was a 4 Pushinicorn read for me, for sure. I feel like I could see why people would feel lukewarm about it, especially if like YA fantasy isn't your jam necessarily. I really liked Laini Taylor's writing just based on how people describe her writing, either with these books or Strange the Dreamer, and then the short story in the My True Love Gave to Me of hers. I was like, I feel like I'm going to like these. Like, I feel like I'm going to like her writing style. And I really do. I really like her writing style. There were things that were kind of predictable, but there were things in here that threw me for a little bit of a loop where I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then there was something at the end that I had feelings about. There were feels happening. I don't want to say anything because I don't want to like give any kind of spoilers. But yeah, like outburst of emotion. Yeah, really loved this. And Daughter of Smoke and Bone was on the 1 to 10 scale, 7.25. And the highest rated one for the month, if you have paid attention to any of my recent videos, you could figure out what it is by now. But I read this for the 12 Days of Cosmos and the Very Merry Readathon, again, overlapping. Also, I'm doing a first read of Harry Potter. Never read it before. And I read the first one in December, and I gave it 4 Pushinicorns. It got a 7.37 on the 1 to 10 scale that I have. So, not a 5 Pushinicorn, simply because, I mean, the reasons I said already, if you have watched that video, sorry for being repetitive. If I wasn't so familiar with these characters and this world because of the movies, I've seen the movies umpteen times, and I already love these characters, I don't think that this book alone would have pulled me in all that much. It was all very well done, and the world is still fun, and the characters were still fine. Nothing was wrong with anything, but I think if all I had to go off of was this book, I wouldn't be like, oh my God, I love it. Completely forgot that my constant classic for December was Mansfield Park by Jane Austen, and I got about 30 or so. I got to page 142 out of 400 pages, all right? So like a quarter of the way through or so, and I gave up. And so no constant classic for me this month. I am finding I don't really care for Jane Austen's books, aside from Pride and Prejudice thus far. I've only read 3, Persuasion, Pride and Prejudice, and then I tried to read this and I couldn't do it. It just was so boring. I feel like I need to reread Pride and Prejudice to see if I feel that way about it now. But I remember really liking Pride and Prejudice. Like, I don't recall it being a struggle. I recall being, like, intrigued with the dynamic between the characters and everything, and like this one I was not intrigued. Persuasion, I would not have been intrigued other than from the character of Mary Musgrove. She was awesome. She was like such an annoying pain in the ass, but like funny. So, okay, there we go. Now I'm done. I swear. Sorry, this is probably gonna be real long. All right, let me know down below if you guys have read any of these books, if you had different opinions, all that fun stuff. What books you may have also read this month that I read, because it was like in a holiday themed month. A lot of people were reading kind of the same things, I think, those holiday specific books. So yeah, like, comment, subscribe, all that friggin' jazz, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye bye.